would allow for 36 months total on the OPT STEM application. But the there's some additional, obligations that they've stuck in there, stating that the OPT, of course, has to be from accredited institutions, and the employer, which is a new prong to all of this, must affirm to the university's designated student advisor that there's going to be a mentoring, there's going to be some training, there's not going to be any displacement of U.S. workers. So that's really exciting that these STEM graduates will have 3 years in total, at which time to secure, hopefully, an H-1B.
Okay. So when it comes to the OPT right now, when you said that the extension was there till May 10th, and those who might have had that expired by the February 12th date, do they have to follow anything, paperwork or anything when it comes to extension? Are they what do they need to do going forward?
Right. The February 12th date really is not the expiration of what their employment authorization is under their optional practical training. It was just that previously a judge had said, by this time, this STEM extension of the OPT would no longer be valid. So most of these individuals will probably have an employment authorization that extends beyond May 10th.
Okay.
Because they've granted an additional time, they'll be able to use their employment authorization, which would have ended February 12th, through May 10th. So there's nothing additional they have to do.
So, and what about after May 10th? Anything they have to do in terms of...
Right, and so we will have to see how this the rule plays out. Like I said, they're looking to grant 36 months effectively, so they're trying to tack on some more time than typical. So probably, the only thing that we'll have to look for to see what these OPT STEM extensions will have to do is the prong of the new proposed regulations where it talks about what the employer is supposed to provide, the mentoring, the training, and the displacement of U.S. worker attestation, how that's going to play out in the final regulations. And we expect to get that before May 10th.
Before May 10th. Okay. So it will be great to have you back on before May 10th to see how and what changes have come about for that.
Absolutely.
And then, any other updates that you would like to give us on OPTs?
Yeah.
Anything?
Yes. Well, that is the main issue with the OPTs. The other thing in the proposed regs is the unemployment, portion, that they're saying that the person can be unemployed 90 days on the OPT and 60 days on the STEM OPT without affecting their status. So that's something else to look out for. But the other exciting thing on the horizon was in December of 31st of 2015, the USCIS published a proposed rule in the Federal Register in furtherance of President Obama's executive action to modernize, improve, and clarify certain immigrant and non-immigrant programs. This was, announced previously in November of 2014 when the President was talking about the initiatives that they wanted to take. And it's really been eagerly awaited by all because it really impacts those from India and China who are stuck in these lengthy backlogs to complete their immigration permanent resident status in the U.S. And so some of the most salient features of this is they can't really adjust the backlogs per se, right? So, there's certain things that the President can do through executive action, but it's limited. So the backlogs, which are really governed by the number of permanent resident visa allocations per country, was really something he probably could not have touched without, going beyond what he is allowed to do. So what they've done is within the process, while these H-1B employees are within the immigrant permanent resident process, they're trying to give them greater flexibility to change employers and, not to be penalized, for example. One of the provisions is, if the employer has withdrawn or revoked the I-140, it would detrimentally impact the H-1B that was in the process. So one of the proposed rules is if the employee, if their immigrant petition, I-140 petition, has been pending for 180 days, that they would not be penalized from the employer withdrawing or revoking their I-140. So they would be able to change employers. They may have to go through the process again, but they would be able to change employers without that impacting their priority date and a number of other benefits that they can obtain from that. What they're proposing is also a grace period for the H-1B. Currently, there's no grace period for the H-1B or L. So they're trying to propose a grace period where the H-1B would be able to try to find a new job. The other thing they're looking to do is trying to give them greater flexibility, during that status in terms of finding, being eligible to apply for an employment authorization document. So if there is a tremendous need and there's some sort of emergent circumstance, the H-1B employee, under those extraordinary circumstances, would be able to apply for an employment authorization document. And in the realm of employment authorization documents, Ashi, the weird thing about the employment authorization document, and the employment authorization document is a document that's given, for OPTs when they apply for work. It's given to spouses of L2s when they apply for work, a number of dependent spouses. And even in your final stages of adjustment of status, a lot of people are issued, these employment authorization documents that everyone calls EADs. The quirky thing about EAD, as opposed to every other type of, non-immigrant status, is if you're on an H or if you're on an L or, a number of other different non-immigrant statuses, as long as you file the extension before your status expires, you're able to continue work even though your status expired because you filed timely. The problem with the employment authorization document is unless you had that document in hand after it expired, then you would have to have a break in your employment because you would no longer be authorized. So the mere filing of it, ahead of time was not enough. And so you were really subject to what happens if there's a tremendous backlog for issuance of EADs, even if you filed it in a timely manner. Or, 3-4 years ago, what happened was the service ran out of the paper that, is issued on EADs, and there was this crazy 6-month backlog. So what they're looking to do is to provide a similar mechanism for people who are on EADs, so as long as they file, they can continue working. So this is one of the many different types of proposals that are in that, the new rules that were published in December 31st, 2015. So we're looking forward to seeing what the changes will be and how it'll affect the people who are in these very long backlogs waiting for permanent residence.
Right. I mean, these are some very good updates. And I was just wondering, in terms of if they have more questions in regards to this, or if they want to go deeper into this topic or need more assistance, I'm sure they can gladly call your offices, right?
Absolutely. They can send us an email at info@challalaw.com, or they can post a question on our Facebook page, the Challa Law Office's Facebook page. And we're happy to, respond to whatever questions they have. Like I said, it's info at challalaw, CHALLALAW.com.
Okay, great. So I'm sure we have more updates to come in the upcoming show, but do we have a song that you would like to play?
Yeah, मेरे पास कमाल वाला गाना है जो Lakshmi Challa ji ko बहुत ज़्यादा पसंद है.
Yeah, I think Mrs. Challa was saying something, right? Do you have a particular song?
I do. It's from Ashiki 2. It's like I said, it's one of the songs that when I listen to, I always think of my husband.
So this Gana is
I think.
Yeah, bolo Ashi.
I think, Shruti, weren't you going to apologize for taking her away from Mr. Challa on Valentine's Day, right?
I'm really sorry for that. But उनको मैं खुश कर सकता हूँ उनके favorite गाने के साथ.
Right. So hopefully I was supposed to make him a special lunch. So hopefully this song will fill his heart and fill his stomach, so that he'll excuse me for not making a special lunch.
जी हाँ, चलते हैं इस गाने के साथ. अगर आपके भी कोई सवाल हो लक्ष्मी चल्ला जी से इमिग्रेशन की चीज़ों से जुड़ा तो आप हमें कॉल करें. अभी के अभी हम आपके साथ लाइव जुड़े हैं. नंबर है 9196474737. जी हाँ, नंबर एक बार फिर से बोल दूं, 9196474737. आशी.
Yes, sir.
नॉइज आ रहा था क्या बीच में? हमारी वॉइस भी आ रही थी तुमको?
Yeah, and then I think some phone rang and somebody had to answer a call or something.
शायद इस कंसोल में कुछ दिक्कत है तो हमने बंद कर
दिया. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's the voice you were hearing. Whose voice is that?
वो हमारे यहाँ पे बहुत महानुभाव हैं स्टूडियो में. उनको हम लोग है ना प्रणाम करते, उनकी अगरबत्ती से पूजा करते.
Actually, what happens? We turn off the mic, but
Okay.
I don't know. Technical problem with the technical difficulties, but अभी हम कल वापस इसको भी सुधार देंगे. इसलिए हम लोग चुपचाप बैठे हैं.
अगर अपन माइक ऑफ करेगा फिर वो काम करेगा तो
ठीक है. मेरे ख्याल से कुछ टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम है अभी भी, वो कल सुधारेंगे. बाकी अब बीच में आवाज नहीं करेंगे. सॉरी इसके लिए.
No, I was
don't even breathe.
There were some questions that you sent the other day about when you can work on how you can work as an F1 student, and the students that are having problems at the port of entry.
Yes.
Did you want to get into that after we get our break?
Yeah, or I think
Ashi, you will ask behalf of my, because मैं थोड़ा अंग्रेजी बोलूँगा तो ना आधे लोगों को समझ में नहीं आएगा.
Yeah, we can go into those questions, or we can. I think you had something about H1B price increase, right? Okay, I think we should go into that first and then questions.
Okay, the H1B price increase, and then I've got some just main things that I see with people who are trying to file for the H1B cap cases coming up. So I'll touch on the price increase. The amendment issues, and then a couple of things that people need to do if they're getting ready to file for a new company.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that would be good. And then I think there were just only a couple of questions that Ravi had emailed me about, and those were the only thing. Usually people call a lot. I think they called a lot when we had the 8.
We planned it very well last time, and उस वक्त बहुत ज़्यादा calls भी आए थे. अभी इस बार शायद कल का लोगों ने mind में लगा के बैठे थे. कल हुआ नहीं तो शायद.
Right, and then today is Valentine's Day, so.
शायद उसे शुरू से. बाकी अगर आशी आपने तो सारे क्वेश्चंस प्रिपेयर कर रखे होंगे ना. We can repeat it next time for the next time. Like आज अगर ये होता है तो हम वापस कभी इसको री-ब्रॉडकास्ट भी कर सकते हैं. रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं हम. We'll be recording it up.
Okay, every time you air it, we will charge you. Okay, Shwet?
I'm gonna charge you. मैं जितनी बार मेरी आवाज सुनूंगा उतनी बार पैसे लूंगा.
Thank God I don't have to listen to you every day then.
What I thought was really good was when I was telling my dad, I said, you have to download, there's this station, WDUR.net. He goes, oh, I already have it on my phone. I said, that's great, Dad. I can't believe that. So, your reach is pretty, very far. If my dad has it, that's pretty amazing.
And where is he? He's locally here or in Virginia?
He's in Virginia.
He's in Virginia, okay. Yes, sir. Please do. I know it's very hard for you to be quiet, Shwet. Fairy energy.
चलिए एक 14 seconds है. 29857643221.
Welcome back.
हाँ
You are with.
बोलती जाएंगे.
Yes.
आपकी आवाज सुनने के लिए हम तरस रहे थे.
It's not a good day to live stream, but I will still keep on continuing because we have some really good updates. I know, Mrs. Challa, you earlier mentioned that there was some kind of a pricing hike when it comes to the H-1B visa process. So I think our listeners would like to know, So if you can give us a little bit of updates on that.
Yes, it was kind of slipped into a bill at the end of the year, and it really affects those companies. First, the threshold is they have more than 50 employees. And then of those employees greater than 50, that 50% of them are either on an H or an L. So the additional fee is $4,000. Woo! That's
wow.
A
Okay.
amount of money. What I suspect is going to happen is most of these companies are probably going to make sure that they don't exceed 50. And what they will do is maybe start up new companies so that they don't meet the 50 threshold, or trying to figure out how they. It's a pretty. It is more of a penalty really than a fee that is going to be affected by it, and that is piggybacking on the fact that of course earlier in 2015 they had the amendment rule, and I like to emphasize the issue about filing new amendments. And what this relates to is if an H-1B employee changes to a new geographic location, previously all they had to do was file an LCA. There was no cost associated with it. Now the USCIS mandates that when they change, when the employee changes geographic location, not only do they have to file a new LCA with the Department of Labor about the change in location, but they also have to file an amended petition with the USCIS. So that's additional expenditure, especially for those consulting companies that change, locations quite a bit. So these are two, I guess, hikes in the cost of Indian consulting companies doing business in the United States.
But this expense is mostly with the companies, right? Is it going to affect the actual person, the employee, or it will be the company who is going to be?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. The critical issue is going to be that the employees are going to have to, ensure that they do have an amended petition for the new location, and and that's especially critical when you're traveling. Because when you're traveling, let's say you had an initial petition for, California, and all your documentation says California, and you make a trip overseas to visit family, and you're coming back in, and you know that you're now going to be working in, New York area. So you fly into the Newark airport. At the Newark airport, if you happen to mention, if they ask you why are you flying in here versus California, and you say my new work location is here, they may ask you for the supporting documentation. So it's incumbent on the employees to make sure that they've got this documentation for the new location. Otherwise, they may not be admitted. So that's really critical for the employees to make sure. And I always tell everyone that immigration status, making sure that you're valid, is really, even though a lot of it's controlled by your employer, you need to be an advocate for yourself and make sure that that even your employer is complying with the new regulations.
Okay, and I think that's a good segue into earlier where we had a question about some of the students who are getting stopped at the port of entry. I mean, can you talk a little bit more about that in terms? I know there were a few questions that our listeners had in terms of the entry process for the students. Yeah,
and I think that has taken place because of the concern that the port of entries have that the students are not really going to school, but they are actually working unlawfully somewhere else. So, the main triggers come up if, for example, you are, again, entering into a port of entry that's not close to your school. So if you're, there was one that was highly visible, where a student entered into Chicago but he was going to school somewhere else. And the student had replied, I'm dropping my uncle off here. And when they put him into secondary inspection, they kind of learned that he was working for a gas station in Chicago, or he may be working for a gas station across Chicago. That suspicion that was a suspicion that was triggered, and he was denied entry. So all it takes is one or two instances like that, and then what happens is now students, there is going to be this extra scrutiny. So it's, the advice is make sure you all have all your documentation, that you're enrolled in a full-time status. Make sure that you're entering into the port of entry that's closest to your school. And the other thing is you've got to be really careful. You don't work without authorization. You're not authorized to work for a gas station if you're enrolled in school. There's only three very limited situations when a student can work, and they should not try to work outside of that.
So what kind of jobs are legal for students and what are considered illegal?
Well, first of all, in order for a student to maintain status, they've got to be enrolled in a full-time program. And that means whatever, and that depends on whatever full-time means for the school. Some schools it's 9 credit hours, some it's 12, so it depends on what it is for the school. You can only be enrolled in one online class as an F1 student. So that's really important. And the only time that you don't have to be enrolled in a full-time study is when you're in optional practical training, OPT, that 1 year that you're allowed to train and work in a field related to your degree while you're in the United States. The only other time aside from OPT that you're allowed to work is you're allowed to work on campus for 20 hours a week during school year. That means at the library on campus or researching for a professor, but something that is related to on-campus employment. The other instance where you're allowed to work while you're in school is something called CPT, which is curricular practical training. Curricular practical training means that you're able to do training in lieu of 4 credit hours. And that's really, typically you see that in graduate programs. For marketing, for example, you're taking some sort of marketing classes and they say, hey, we've got a relationship with company ABC and you're going to be doing an internship for them and there's this project and so forth that's associated with that. And all this goes through the designated school official at the school. And usually for CPT, and this is something that students should really keep in mind, you usually have to work, you have to be enrolled in the school for 1 year before you're eligible for CPT. If you get CPT immediately, later on when you are trying to get an H-1B, they've started asking questions about the CPT, early CPTs. So then you have to go back to the school and show that in this particular program, it is critical that they enroll in CPT before the 1 year. So just because the school allows you to do it, if they're not able to justify that later on, it doesn't mean that the student won't have problems down the road when they're trying to get an H-1B.
So your recommendation and suggestion would be to wait out a year before you actually go for the CPT, even if the school allows it?
Absolutely, absolutely. The H-1B adjudications now is tough enough as it is. You don't want to make things more difficult for yourself. You want to make things easier for yourself. And if they're going to ask a question about the CPT, if it is issued sooner than the 1 year time period, that just may open up the door to ask a number of other questions. So it's better to sit out the 1 year on the CPT.
Okay, that's an excellent suggestion.
And this may be a good time to talk a little bit about, Ashi, the issues that are coming up. The H-1B cap is going to open up again in April of 2016. Last year we had 233,000 applications that were filed. And only, of course, 85,000 slots are available. And so we've been getting a lot of inquiries, especially, the biggest concern is for companies who've never filed an H-1B before. So some of the things that I like to alert new companies that have never filed an H-1B before is a number of things. That number one of the biggest issues that comes up with new companies is the USCIS tries to confirm that this is a valid company through a VIBE system. And so VIBE is what they call it, is if, is a cross-check through what's called Dun & Bradstreet. So new companies, if not only should they go through the normal corporate, compliance issues that they need to get registered, but they should also register on Dun & Bradstreet. It's not required by the regulations, and if there's a request for evidence that, we're able to defend it because it's not required. But again, it's one more hurdle you have to go through, so I suggest that all new companies register on VIBE. The other thing they should know is they will have a relatively new tax ID number, FEIN number, because they've newly incorporated their company. That tax ID number, because when you file an H-1B, you file a labor condition application with the Department of Labor. You probably want to get that FEIN number pre-registered, so that when you file for a labor condition application, there's no delays. It typically takes 7 days. For new companies, 10 days. So we don't know with the number of applications that will be filed in March what the delay would be, so they should try to get their FEIN number pre-registered. The other issue that I see is, a lot of companies don't understand the importance of office space. And so we've been seeing, please remember that the USCIS has access to Google. And so they will use Google. And if you put down an office space that they can't find on Google, that's going to be a major problem. So, it's critical that they, meet that requirement. And what we'll be doing is on our Facebook page, challalaw.com, or if you sign up for our newsletter by sending us an email at info@challalaw.com, what we're going to be doing is publishing, just tips for new companies in greater detail as to what they need to do if they're going to file for an H-1B this season.
Okay, so this is a lot of good information in regards to if a company is filing for your H-1B, but I'm sure you have tips for the actual person who is, like do's and don'ts when it comes to what might be a better chance of them getting picked from the lottery system for H-1B. Do you have any of those suggestions?
I wish I had we try to look at whether premium versus regular processing for H-1Bs gives you a better chance. In years past, it seems to, for whatever reason, your bets were hedged. But it doesn't seem to have that much of an impact right now. The only thing I would say is, though, right now immigration is currently it's one of the largest delays that we've seen sometime. They're currently working on H-1Bs that were filed in June of 2015. I can't imagine what the delay is going to be when the filings take place in April. So premium processing is at least a way in which you know whether you've been selected or not. So you can decide, and that's especially critical for students who are on OPT, who are already here in the United States. The other thing I would suggest that the students do as they're looking for employers, as they're looking for people to sponsor them, you have to really be able to, this is especially true if you're working for somebody like a Lenovo, IBM, those are not going to be issues that you have to be concerned about in terms of, the strength of the petition. But if you're working for a consulting company, it's really important to make sure that they have contracts in place for your employment. If you're on OPT, likelihood is that you're already working for that end client. So you have to show contracts throughout. So you want to make sure your employer has those contracts. You want to make sure that the employer has the ability to demonstrate that he has the right to control. an employee handbook, that they have performance reviews, that they provide, benefits to the employee, that they have a mechanism in which they're able to control your work even if you're at the end client. So these are some things that the employee should look out for when they're trying to find an employer to sponsor them for an H-1B. It doesn't help with the selection, but it does help with the approvability.
Okay. So in short, it's just basically back to in terms of it's whatever your luck is, right? In terms of the lottery system. Nothing that we can do that, yeah. Okay, great. But the extra money paid for premium processing is worth it.
Yeah, the extra money, especially because it gives you, and it doesn't have to be paid by the employer. It can be paid by the employee. So it gives you just that sense of comfort that, you are, that you've been selected. Otherwise, we don't know how long you'd have to wait to get the actual receipt notice to know that you've been selected.
Great. So we'll continue with a few more updates, and if you guys have any more questions for us in terms of immigration, H-1B, OPT, H-4, give us a call, 919-647-4737. But we are going to another song right now, and I believe we are playing Gerau from Dilwale. Did I say it right, Shrit? Gerua from Dilwale. I got it right this time. Shrit?
Exactly, तुमने सही बोला. पहले गेरावा क्या होता है? वो कौन सा गाना?
I was trying to give you a joke so you can make fun of me, but yeah, I finally registered between it's hard to switch. It's hard to switch from practical to romantic all of a sudden. So I had to, think I had to channel my inner Shah Rukh Khan before I could say it was Gerua, right?
मेरे सिंह खुद रोएगा. मैं ऐसा कौन सा गाना गा दिया?
All right, well, we can play the song. Good.
2 सेकंड आशी में आता हूँ ना. 2 सेकंड.
Sure.
So we're offline?
Yes, right now we are.
Okay.
The song is playing. Yeah.
The song, okay.
उसमें ऐड डाल दो ना बीच. आशी जो अभी यहाँ इस गाने के बाद ऐड करूंगा मैं, और ऐड के बाद आप एक या 2 क्वेश्चन करके रैप अप करते हैं या फिर कुछ और है सवाल?
I think that should be fine, right?
What? I'm sorry.
Just after the song, he's going to play an ad, and then he said a couple of questions, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, ठीक है Shrit.
And then if there's time, what I can do is, remember I met with all the consulates in India?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I can at least give you 3 points that they brought up about processing visas out of India.
That's good.
Yeah, that will be fine. Instead of questions, we can just we can go into that after the ad. Just talk about your trip to India.
Okay, because if you wanted to make sure that your listeners got their questions answered.
I think the only questions we had was the 3, and you answered it very clearly about, and I don't think anybody else has called. I think people are being too romantic today.
They're being very romantic, yes.
हम एक काम करें, आपको इसका ये ऑडियो फाइल मैं आपको सेंड कर दूंगा मैम, ताकि आप अपने वेबसाइट पे इसको कर सकते हैं.
Okay, perfect. That would be great. And we'll send it out, we've got over, I think it's not a large list, but 4,000 people on our constant contact. And we'll be able to send a link out to all of them as well.
तो वैसे भी कर लेंगे. मैं आपको एक बार ये थोड़ा इस पे वर्कआउट करना पड़ेगा. Like we need to work out on this, like whatever we have done it now, we need to edit it properly. Then we'll prepare it and then we'll update you.
Okay, perfect. And that way, that's a great way for people to, great way to learn about all the great things you all do on WDUR.net.
नीचे आ जा. Okay. Don't go too far up.
मैं अभी नीचे ही था मैं जमीन पे बैठ के रिकॉर्डिंग कर रहा हूँ अभी मैं तो आजकल मैं हमारा अपना यहाँ पे ऑफिस सेकंड फ्लोर पे है मैं फर्स्ट फ्लोर से ही बात करता हूँ मालूम
Where is your office in Hyderabad?
It's located at Srinagar Colony.
My gosh.
Near Amirpet.
Yeah, that's so close to
Banjara Hills.
Yeah, where my in-laws have a house. So.
At Banjara Hills?
Yes.
Okay. So ये मतलब it is in at the center of the city मतलब हैदराबाद के बीचों बीच है अमीरपेट.
Right. That's exact. I mean, Srinagar Colony is where I think, unless I'm speaking wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's where their place is.
Visit to India?
I probably will be there this summer. Probably around. I'll be going with Chandrasekhar sometime in June, July. And I know that the folks in Bombay and everything else, they all want me to come and speak there, so I'm going to try to do both, but I'll definitely be in Hyderabad.
चलो next time आप आएं तो please update करें ताकि हम भी आपसे मिल सकें.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Shekhar and I will definitely come to meet you.
Definitely. तो एक काम करता हूँ गाना जो है एंड होगा फिर मैंने ऐड होके मैं वापस काउंट करूँगा तो 20 मिनट बाकी हैं आशी 20 मिनट्स आर देयर तो अगर सारे जितने भी जैसे वो मैम ने जैसे बताया इंडिया की जो इमिग्रेशन चीज़ें जो नई लॉज आए हैं वो भी इनका जब वो आप सारा उसमें कवर कर लेंगे.
Yes, sir. Okay. Are we playing any song in the end or you're going to take care of it?
It's up to you. Like अगर 55 पे हमारा खत्म हो जाता है 155 तो हम गाना बजा देंगे अदरवाइज आप वहीं पे खत्म कर सकते कोई इशू नहीं.
So am I saying any particular song or just handing it over to you?
Which you like, Lakshmi ji.
Yes.
Oh, a song which I like.
Yes. I know you don't like Indian songs like Hindi songs, but फिर भी apart from Ashiki.
Okay, what I'll do is let me see if I can get Shekhar to dedicate a song to me. It shouldn't be just me, right? It should be him. I'll have him send you a text.
Great. That sounds good.
So I'll make sure Shekhar sends you
you
a request.
You can you want me to play right now or some other day?
No, today.
Today. ठीक है.
Yeah. So we were going to questions for immigration in updates from India side, and then we'll probably wrap up around 1:55, and then you can say that there was a song coming in from Shekhar to dedicate to Mrs. Challa.
Here, let me give the phone to him, and that way he can tell you really quick because I know you got to put it on.
Okay.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you all doing?
Good, and you?
You have the song from Yadon Ki Barat?
Yadon Ki Barat? Need to check once.
Which one is it?
Chura Liya Hai.
Oh, yeah. But the song Chura Liya Hai Tumne Jo Dil Ko.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Or the song from Sharabi, Amitabh Bachchan and Jai Prada, Intaha Ho Gayi Intezar Ki.
Wow, so romantic. I know. I intezar for the food or for her. I wonder sometimes.
Always for her. Food can
that's
come later.
Sweet. Good answer.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we can definitely play one of those, right, Shrit? Okay. ये चुरा लिया है तुमने जो दिल को, ना यादों की बारात.
नहीं, not at all.
Yeah.
चुराया दिल को वो चुरा लिया है तुमने जो दिल को वही यादों की बारात हो जाएगी ना.
Yes.
समझ गया आप? हाँ नहीं टाइटल सॉन्ग नहीं चुरा लिया बजाइए आप. ओके शुक्रिया.
Thank you.
I had to force my dedication on him.
Say something, right?
Yeah, 31 years. That's what happens. Yes, but at least he came up with
well, You have made it 31 years. That's a rarity in this day and age, you know? People don't make it past the first 5 years. Good, good. Tashrid, there is still the ad playing? Ad अभी भी चल रही है क्या? अच्छा, ठीक है.
And so what are you doing this Sunday, Ashi?
I am babysitting my niece and my nephew later on.
Oh, how
So
cute.
my brother
How
and
old
my
are they?
sister-in-law, one is 11 and the other is 8.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we might just have. I definitely need to have what?
I said we need to have lunch or dinner next time I come down.
Yes, please let me know, and it will be a pleasure to dine out with you. I'm a big foodie myself, so.
Oh, good, good. I know.
Yeah.
I love eating. So we'll go to a place that you recommend.
Great. It's kind of stressful to recommend a place because I don't know your food profile, but yes, it will be good whenever you come down next time. I'm not a big celebrator of Valentine's Day. I think it's too expensive. I wait for the 50% off chocolate next day.
No, that's smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
It's a Hallmark. It's a Hallmark holiday. Hallmark probably, you know, it's a holiday.
एक कॉल आ रहा है, हम वो कॉल भी कनेक्ट कर लेते हैं, ठीक है?
Okay, ठीक है. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. May I know who's online?
Hi, this is Harish.
हरीश जी. हरीश जी, आपको ऑन एयर लेके जाते हैं, तो आपको थोड़ा सा वेट करना पड़ेगा 19 सेकेंड्स. 19 नहीं, लगभग 1 मिनट. You need to wait. Then we'll take you on air. And you have any question?
Yeah, I'm having question regarding regarding the stamping in India about Dropbox.
Okay,
So
that's a great question. We can go into it once we get on air.
Yeah, I'll count 10, Ashi, and then Harish, Lakshmi Challa is with us, and Ashi is also with us. Once they ask you, then you can ask your question. Okay?
Sure.
Okay. 20 seconds to go, Ashi. I'll count.
Yes, sir.
क्या बोलते हैं? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 4, 5, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go.
Welcome back to the show. We are still at Insights with Expert, and we have Lakshmi Challa with us, and we have our caller, Harish, with the question. Welcome to the show, Harish. You had some questions about stamping from India side, you said?
Yes. Yes. My question is, what are the different scenarios, regarding the Dropbox in India? Because last time I had Indian stamping, and this year again I'm going in the middle of the year. So if my employer and my client is the same, should I go for stamping or can I use the Dropbox facility?
Yeah, I mean, if you, if you're, as long as your H or L, is either valid or expired within the last 12 months, you should be able to do the Dropbox. And you said that your employer and your end client, all that information has not changed?
Yes.
Okay. And you've got pay stubs that, substantiate your petition?
Yes.
Okay. And if that's the case, that you shouldn't have any and as long as there's never been any prior issues with your visa issuance, you've never had problems with, any annotations with, about clearance or, any other thing, then you should be able to do the Dropbox without any problem.
Sure. And I have one more question. If employer and end client are same, that's the scenario. And what if, we have the same employer and if it's different end client, or, if it's different employer, can you just give us a
right.
Idea?
Yeah, I've talked to, I was in October of this year, I actually went and met with all the different consulates in India and talk to them about the issue of the Dropbox. And, also the concern about people who have amended petitions that are currently in process, and about the change of employers. And, they seem to say that they're still trying to go through identifying a clear policy on this. But as long as you have all, they seem to say as long as you have all the documentation. If you're going to say that you're at a new end client, make sure that you've got the end client letter. The end client letter has the job title, the duties, and it clearly identifies that you're being placed there through your petitioner, and that perhaps some language in there that says that they understand that the control, that your control of your day-to-day work is by your employer. I think that would, help not having any issues with Dropbox submission.
Sure.
Does that answer your question, Harish?
Yeah. Clear my doubts. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good luck to you.
Thanks for calling, Harish. So, Mrs. Challa, you said you had a few more things to say about your trip that you made to India with different consulates. Before we got this call, you had a few updates from the side of immigration in India. Anything else you want to add?
Yes, it was amazing because I was able to. I presented with the chief counsel, non-immigrant counsel from, it was Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata. We had someone from Hyderabad and also Chennai. And what was great is I was able to talk to them and, about a number of things that they see as issues when, people go to visa process. And one of the things that they said was, people come to the window with a stack of documents. Mm-hmm. And they seem to feel like in India you can get any document made. So they really don't like to look at the documents. I still advise my clients to take the documents with them. You never know if you get a new person or somebody who actually wants to see them. But they really don't have time to review all the documents. But what's very critical is when you go to visa process, read the information you've submitted. Because they would have read your file prior to you getting there. So if, for example, you're with a consulting company and you're going to be working at the client site, make sure you know what your job duties are. Make sure you know what client site you're going to be working. If you're hesitant, and the hesitation may even come because you're scared or you feel apprehensive, you've got 3 minutes. You've got to convince them that you're not lying, that you are going and doing everything that was said on the petition. So you have to go there with confidence, and you have to go there well informed about who, the purpose of your visit and the details surrounding it.
Okay. Those are some really good tips, and that they need to pay attention to when they go down there. Anything else that you would like to add? Because I know we're coming towards the end of the show, so any updates?
I was going to say, if you look at the proposed, early on in the show, I talked about some proposed rules for flexibility during your I-140 status while you're there. In order to leverage that, everyone's going to, it's going to be more and more critical to have a PERM, a labor certification, a PERM certified. So it is what we've seen in the trends of labor certification and PERM is make sure your attorney is able to cross-check your degree and everything with EDGE. It was an investment for our company, and we went ahead and got the EDGE software because it's the same thing that the USCIS is using to look at education, so that we can make sure that the Indian degree is accredited. Otherwise, you'll have a problem down the road. The other thing we've seen is there has been tightening or more conservative approach to the PERM process. So we've just spent 2 days training our entire team on PERM, so that we take the most conservative approach, because in this, time where audits are all over the place, you want to make sure that your perm is processed in the most conservative manner to avoid any type of audit and any type of delay. So that's what I would just like to tell your listeners as they go down that road. That's something they should keep in mind.
Great. And if you have any more questions in regards to immigration, I'm sure, like she mentioned earlier, you can always email at info@challa.com and also get on the newsletter, right, so that they can get the most up-to-date information in terms of immigration.
Absolutely. And then we'll be, if they follow us on Facebook or LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn, it would be mine, Lakshmi Challa, but Facebook is the Challa Law Group. They'll be getting that's a mechanism in which to get updates as well.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and it's always a pleasure having you, and you're a wealth of information, so I'm sure our listeners appreciate that, and I'm sure we'll have you back on air pretty soon with the May 10th updates that we'll be receiving, so you might be able to give us more information and insight on immigration stuff.
Well,
but
thank you.
I believe
it's always a pleasure.
Yeah. We can't let you go without the dedication that Mr. Challa made for you, right? So, Shrit?
Okay, मैं तैयार हूँ, एकदम से तैयार ही बैठा रहता हूँ।
तैयार है। So, what did Mr. Challa tell you?
उन्होंने मुझे बोला कि भाई तुमने आज हमारा वैलेंटाइंस डे का जो सेलिब्रेशन था तुमने बीच में ये कर दिया है। एक गाना जो वो डेडिकेट करना चाहते हैं लक्ष्मी चल्ला जी को, तो एक गाना तैयार है फिल्म यादों की बारात से, जिसे गाया है आशा भोसले ने, और गाना है चुरा लिया है तुमने जो दिल को।
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Ashi.
Done? Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
No, thank you.
Sorry?
We'll expect our gifts and checks.
I enjoy working with the both of you so much. It just seems like I'm doing something with a bunch of friends.
Thank you so much.
We always love talking to you. I think you're one of the most easiest person to speak with on air. You know your information and you know what you're talking about. Some of the times you have to pull information out of the person who is on the other line.
मेरे को भी जितने लोग मिलते हैं, मेरे को आजकल मैं खुद एक्सपर्ट हो गया हूँ। मैं भी ना इमिग्रेशन के आंसर देता हूँ दोस्तों को कि भाई ऐसे
Are you that person on the side of the road street that sits with the tarot card and parrot for the immigration answers?
इतनी सारी चीजें जानने को, लास्ट टाइम भी किसी ने पूछा था वो बर्थ सर्टिफिकेट से रिलेटेड।
अरे वाह,
मुझे पूरी चीजें
वेरी गुड।
और आज जिसने हरीश ने पूछा कि वो ड्रॉप बॉक्स का, तो ऐसे सीख लेते हैं, हम भी होशियार हो गए हैं।
Yeah, no,
I'm very proud of you.
You're like our spokesperson in Hyderabad, so that's great.
If you need any work from my end, अगर ऑफिशियल जाके कुछ पेपर भी सबमिट करके आना हो, तो you can always call me. I'm there for you.
Absolutely.
Great.
So when we come there,
Okay.
you can help me figure out how I can get more publicity in Hyderabad.
Definitely. आप जब भी आए, प्लीज मुझे आप कांटेक्ट करना, आपको जैसी सेवा हो वैसी दे सकते हैं।
Well, that's fantastic. And you all both have whatever's left of Valentine's Day. Have a great Valentine's Day.
नहीं, अभी मैं वही
You too.
वो लड़की कॉल कर रही है मुझे जब से कि मेरे को कब मिलने आओगे। 14 फरवरी खत्म हो गया इंडिया में, फिर भी she is calling. I want to go now.
You know how Shrit they say to cake में लपेटो? Okay, all right. Well, you enjoy your Valentine's Day.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Challa-ji.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
लेकिन मैं क्या करने वाला था मालूम?
ये खराब है जी, तुमको मैं बोल
उसको
रहा
नहीं,
हूँ।
यहाँ सॉफ्ट
कहीं बदल ना जाना। सजाऊंगा लुट कर भी तेरे बदन डाली को, लहू जिगरा दूंगा हंसी लबों की लाली को, सजाऊंगा लुट कर भी तेरे बदन की डाली को, लहू जिगर का दूंगा हंसी लबों की लाली को। है वफा क्या इस जहां को, एक दिन दिखला दूंगा मैं दीवाना। चुरा लिया है तुमने जो दिल को, नजर नहीं चुराना सनम।